Hey guys, this is Cam15. I'm back at it with another video for you guys, and this is another My Hero Academia manga chapter review, and this will be the last manga chapter review, the last manga chapter of 2020. So this manga chapter, I guess I'm wrong in terms of when the arc is ending, because I thought the arc would end on chapter 300. But it seems like it is not going to be ending on chapter 300. It's going to be ending here with obviously the villains retreating. But yeah, let's talk about it because there's a lot of things that definitely very interesting that happen here, as well as the fact that, you know, we might be getting a storyline that I actually predicted we might actually get a few chapters ago. Anyways, the chapter starts off with this in this dark space telling obviously Deku to wake up. Now the chapter is titled chapter 295, Tenacious. Now Deku reawakens, and essentially he's like, I blacked out against Dabi's attack, but I suddenly just got back up again and stuff like that. Oh, Deku's looking around for Todoroki to make sure Todoroki's alright, and Todoroki's fine. He's just burnt, but he's fine, and stuff like that. Now, Deku goes on to say, because Deku gets another shot to the, well, not another shot, another, like, alert to his head, and essentially, that's when Deku says, it happened again. Same stabbing sensation in my head. And that's when he brings the fact, like, could this be Danger Sense? And he says that All Might has put notes in this, and he said this was the fourth user's quirk. So Deku has activated another quirk, and that is Danger Sense. I don't know what this quirk does. We'll probably find out what the real meaning of what Danger Sense does. But it seems like Danger Sense is a way to reawaken Deku, or be able to, like, whenever he needs a jolt to his body to, you know, because there's something dangerous that's being sensed around him, and he needs that jolt to get started up again, or like reawaken so he doesn't pass out completely, to protect himself. Maybe that's when it activates, because that's what it seemed that happened here. Like, it's like you can say those things when, you know, in a conscious person on the brink of death, you know, the little shocking things, you know, the hospital people are, you know, doctors do when they try to bring somebody back from the brink of death, essentially, where they're like, okay, stand by, one, you know. So it could be something like that. That's what I guess it took out of this. It's an interesting quirk, to say the least. You know, All Might was definitely not, it was Bakugo who said it, but Bakugo was definitely not lying when they said some of these quirks definitely ain't the strongest. But like I said, maybe we'll find out more what Danger Sense can do and what the capabilities of it is. So yeah, and that's very interesting. I think, if I remember, I think this was the quirk that All Might said he didn't want Deku, like, or he wanted Deku to avoid or something like that. If not, I'll have to look back and see if that was. Anyways, Deku goes on mentions he's like, I haven't done any training with this one yet, so it just sort of burst out like Black Whip. And he says his head's killing him, a huge toll, and it's hard to stay conscious because of it. Now, we cut over back to what's happening with Mr. Compress. Now, one, we see Mr. Compress's full body. This dude has lost essentially his entire right side of his body. He has no arm, he has no right foot. Like, they're legit gone. Mirio's coming in, and he comes in and kind of tackles him down and stuff like this. Now, Mr. Compress essentially is like, at least give me my moment to unleash my disembodied buttocks in your general direction. It sounds really disgusting, and I don't want to know what that... Anyways, upon arrival, he goes on to say, upon arrival, I spotted a large gathering of Nomu. So he saw the Nomu that were fighting the other heroes in the distance and stuff like that. And he knows that the Nomu only obey to Shikarachi's command and stuff like that. He brings up the fact that he's fading and he's losing consciousness of himself and stuff like that. And essentially his plan was to reawaken him so he can command the Nomu to eventually get them out of there and stuff like that. and that's why he did his little trick, and that's why he bought time. That's why he sealed Spinner and Shigarashi in his little compressed balls, and then eventually brought them out to have time to do it and stuff like that. So, and then also in Spinner's little scarf, the compressed form of Dobby is there as well. So I guess whenever Spinner finds that, he can let Dobby out and stuff like that. So yeah. He goes on to say, so please, Spinner, you are Shigarashi's most devoted follower. I'm merely the assistant, while you two are the main act. And that's when Spinner kind of comes and thinks about himself, and he's just like thinking about all this stuff that Shigarashi and stuff like that, and things like that. And then that's when he pulls out the hand that usually sticks on Shigarashi's face, and then that's when Shigarashi reawakens, and then he sends out these radio waves to essentially alert the Nomu to do it. It blows everybody back and stuff like that, and it goes on to say, he found himself some truly decent allies. Heart is power, and the more fiercely he embraces that sword in his heart, the more my consciousness takes hold in our little symbiotic relationship. Never let that hatred die, Tomura. And that is All For One talking. So All For One seems like he has full control of Shigarashi's body again, and wow. Listen, I said, and a lot of other My Hero Academia YouTubers who have been reviewing the manga have said, what if, Shigarashi takes complete control? What if All For One's end game was to put his real quirk inside Shigarashi to eventually take control of Shigarashi's body, so then he can live much more longer? So, yeah. But anyways, what he kind of said by this statement is the fact that, he knows that Shigarashi's found some good allies, and he goes on to say, the more essentially Shigarashi embraces that hate within his heart, the more All For One's consciousness seems to control his body and essentially, I guess you can say, win out the control for obviously the body, the host, and stuff like that. And like I said, literally, All For One is chilling in there, honest to God, like Venom, essentially. Not in sort of a way where, when Eddie Brock dons the Venom costume, Venom's kind of in control of his actions and stuff like that and what he does. So it's something like that. But definitely All For One is definitely a parasitic person in it. In his body, just essentially controlling his body and stuff like that. Essentially, what he does is he gets the Nomus now that he's in control, and he makes the Nomu and the others, and him and Spinner, eventually escape and stuff like that. And that's when he also says like these radio waves can be used as signals to give a Nomu very specific commands. It's something Tomura can necessarily achieve, given that he's still. He says it is not something Tomura can necessarily achieve, given that he's still incubating. And that's when the Nomus kind of raid the heroes and then pushing them aside, and they end up running away. Now Spinner asks the fact, like saying, hang on, Shigarashi, what about Compressed Makia? Toga's out there too. And that's when he's like, enough. Tomura has lost to one for all and ever. It was only right that he pays for that loss, all for my sake. And yeah, at this point, you can definitely say that's definitely All For One talking by saying, essentially, he doesn't really give a fuck about Tomura's allies, the members of the League of Villains, because he's like, well, I told him to run away, and he just didn't listen to me, so for that, it's kind of a punishment. So, yeah, the allies are going to be the ones getting arrested. Well, I'm going to be the one to get away, typically. So you have to wonder, is if the League of Villains find out what happened to Tomura, really, if he's being controlled by All For One, will they eventually turn on All For One to free their ally from his grasp, essentially? But at the same time, you also see Spinner along with the other Nomu grabbing. Now, Best Jean is like, grab, Spinner because Dobby's with them too, essentially. And you have all the heroes trying to do everything. And eventually, they can't catch up to them. And then all of a sudden, Deku comes out of nowhere using Black Whip. And essentially, All For One is like, oh god. Worthless Izuku Midoriya. When this body is perfected, we shall meet again, and I will be taking your quirk. And that's when Deku replies by saying, you shut your mouth, All For One. So Deku already knows that's All For One speaking through Shigarachi's body, so okay. And that's when All For One is like, yes, we shall meet again, and he pushes Deku back with, I believe, a radio wave. And then that's when Deku says, Shigarachi. And he goes in his monologue. He's saying, he brings the fact that Shigarachi's killed so many heroes in this event and it's done so many horrible things. And he even says, like, that's unforgivable. Like, I cannot forgive you for what you did here in this arc. And that's when he's like, but still, back then when you got your body swallowed up by All For One, and now in real time, when Deku's talking in real time instead of monologuing, he's like, wait, mark my words. And then that's when he goes back to remembering the whole inner, head battle between All For One and One For All. And he's like, at that moment. And you see Deku looking back at essentially Shigarashi. And he said, that look on your face looked like, as the chapter ends off, you needed saving. And that's where the chapter ends off. The next chapter, we're going to take a 2-week break. The next chapter won't release till January 3rd, which is the new year in 2021. So this is the last manga chapter of 2020. And man, what a way to end it. So it seems like the My Hero Academia War arc is definitely ending. Some conclusions will be wrapped up probably in the next few chapters. But I guess I won't give my basis or my thoughts on the entire war arc as a whole, but it seems like the war arc is definitely ending. The battle has ended. We're gonna get the resolutions and stuff like that in the weeks to come. And yeah, now that whole end scene where I'm just gonna say it. I figured that this might happen. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, and also if you're a new viewer, if you go back to the chapter reviews, manga reviews of mine, where I saw when you had the inner, monologuing battle scene where All For One and Shigarachi was trying to take One For All from Deku, I said there was a part, like, I wonder if there's going to be a point or a storyline going on, since All For One essentially is kind of trying to take over control of Shigarachi's body. I wonder if the main storyline's going to shift from, obviously Deku being the world's greatest hero and stuff like that. He's still going to do that. But I wonder, is he going to try to save Shigarachi from All For One from taking over his body? Because we know that Shigarachi, when he was younger, he never had a hero help him or never have a hero that saved him way back when he was younger, when he was going through all his stuff. And I did say there would be one hero, if you go back to if you were to go back in the time period and put in there, that probably would have helped out Shigarachi with that, even knowing he might have had a very dangerous quirk that could have killed him on an instant. And that would obviously be Deku. And we know that Deku, it doesn't matter. Sometimes he'll do the best you can. He'll do the best you can, unless, to his convictions, he'll help out anybody. Whether you're good, bad, or indifferent. We know that's just Deku's character. And I figured that what if Deku's goal is to save Shigarachi from All For One and make Shigarachi get complete control of his body. Now, like I said, I don't know if that would change Shigarachi's personality to maybe have a rethink of, what heroes are like. Maybe that could change him. Now, it would be kind of a weird total character shift, because I still think even if Deku saves him, he should still have the same mindset, like, I don't care, even though you did help me, even though you did save me, that don't mean nothing. I'm still gonna kill you because, you know, society is terrible and stuff like that. Hero society is terrible, stuff like that. So, that's the thing. But I'm not trying to say I called it, but it seems like they're going with the storyline. Horikoshi's going with the storyline is the fact that Shigarashi has lost control of his body to All For One, and Deku is going to have to fight All For One, confront All For One in Shigarashi's body, and try to save Shigarashi and have him get complete control of his body again, which is a very interesting storyline. It seems like that's where they're going, and I can't wait. I do believe, I think Horikoshi said My Hero Academia. Well, I'm not gonna say it, but I've always said I think My Hero Academia is probably good for 2 to 3 more arcs, and then in the third and final arc should be the final finale. So if they want to do one more small mini arc, or 2 small mini arcs to see the growth and development of Deku, and then they cut to a time skip before the final arc of this series, I will take it, because really we're getting to the point where I can definitely see this series ending in maybe 1 or 2 arcs. Personally, what should happen is a resolution. We can get another mini arc, and maybe, like I said, maybe 2 mini arcs if we're lucky. And then the third, and then the final arc should be after we get a time skip where Deku and the other class members of 1A are definitely older. And now I wouldn't say how much older, maybe like, I don't know, 3-year time skip or 4 or 5-year time skip, where they're all older. Deku's got a little bit better command of All For One. He's just missing this one step and stuff like that. But still, there's a lot of story to be told on the One For All side track, because we still don't know who the first and second users, well, the second and third users, my bad. We still don't know who the second and third users are. We know the first, fourth, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th users of One For All. We just don't know the second and third. So like I said, they can also, you know, have an arc where it's dedicated just training and stuff like that, and find more of the inner workings of One For All as well. At the same time, you can also do side-by-side analysis. All For One now returning, taking control of Shigarashi's body, and from the standpoint of, you know, the League of Villains eventually see the change in his demeanor, like, you're not Shigarashi. And that's when he's like, oh yes, I'm not Shigarashi. I'm taking over Shigarashi's body. I'm All For One. So, yada, yada, yada. But, yeah, this is a pretty good chapter. It ends this year for My Hero Academia off in a very grandiose way. And I will say this year, My Hero Academia was really freaking good. This war arc has been good. But I'll probably talk more about my thoughts on the war arc in the next coming weeks when this is finally kind of wrapped up and we're getting started into the next new arc. But other than that, guys, if you guys liked the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this manga chapter review. Until then, guys, or what is your thoughts on the, I guess you can say, the storyline that they're going with, that Deku's going to try to save Shigarashi from All For One. Anyways, hit that subscribe button if you want to get more My Hero Academia manga chapter content, as well as My Hero Academia season 5, because the second trailer that came out just yesterday, I believe, gave the release date to My Hero Academia season 5, and that's coming out March 27th. So look forward to that. And if you want to get my thoughts on, you know, previous stuff that we've seen that I haven't yet talked about on the channel, obviously we know what we're going to be getting. Probably the My Villain Academia arc in Class 1A versus Class 1B. So hit that subscribe button if you want to get my manga chapter reviews next year in March, or the end of March. But yeah, I can't wait for that. So yeah, other than that, and I'm McGallagher. So if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts. And yeah, so till then, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.